Subhanallah. If you and I took the time to read about just 50 of the companions of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Ashab Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, wa tabi'in wa tabi'in, or sahabiyat, or the al-Mu'mineen, just read about them, and we learned just one line or two about each one of them, and we shut the television off for 2 or 3 hours a day, and in place of that we just play a tape about them every day, and we give to our children the best food, and we give them some money and put it on the table, put the money and the food or a nice gift on the table, and tell them, after you finish listening to this, take that money and eat that food, and I have some more gift, and I will give you something every day. Do that for them for about 90 days. That money you will spend for them, and that good food, that best food you will give them, and that gift you will give them, is an investment, because now they will listen. But after 90 days, your children, mashallah, they will have a reference in their minds. But if you don't make that investment, and if you have not made that investment, I will guarantee you something. Someone else has given them some gifts, and someone else has offered them some food, and someone else will offer them a lot of money for some other heroes. We have to make the investment in the strangers. Uthman ibn Mad'um, Zayd ibn Haritha, Ja'far ibn Abi Talib. Look at these people. Tell your sons about Usama ibn Zayd, that 16-year-old boy who the Prophet ﷺ said there was none better than him except his father. And so he appointed him as the Amir of the Jaysh al-Muslimin. While Abu Bakr was living, and Umar was living, and Uthman was living, and Ali ibn Abi Talib was living, and other companions of the Prophet ﷺ that was twice and 3 times his age. But the Prophet ﷺ took that young boy and made him the commander of the Muslim army, because he said there was none other better for that job except his father. And who was his father? Zayd ibn Harith, who had memorized the Quran directly from the Prophet ﷺ. We need to tell, who is Ja'far ibn Abi Talib, the commander of the first Muhajirun, those that went to Habash. The Prophet ﷺ handpicked him and sent him with those people to be their commander, their Amir. And it was Ja'far who spoke to the Najashi and touched his heart. And later on it was Ja'far who convinced him to become a Muslim, the king of a country. And we know he became a Muslim because when he died and the Prophet ﷺ found out that he had died, the Prophet stood up ﷺ and he made Salatul Janazah for him. O Muslims, Khalid ibn Walid, Qais ibn Sa'ad ibn Ubaidah, Umair ibn Wahab, Abu Darda'i, Talha ibn Ubaidullah. Tell them about Abu Dhar al-Ghifari. Abu Dhar, that man the Prophet ﷺ said, Abu Dhar will walk alone, and Abu Dhar will die alone, and Abu Dhar will be raised up on the day of judgment alone. Not because he did something wrong, but because Allah distinguished him that way. Abu Dhar, who was from some of the worst of the criminals, who used to lay in wait for people on the paths in different places to rob them, who was known, and his people was known. But yet when Abu Dharr became a Muslim, he was the person the Prophet ﷺ said, the minds of the believers, he said, the believers, they are like mines of gold and silver. The best of them in the Jahiliyyah, they will become the best of them in the day of Islam, if they believe, if they believe. And look at Abu Dharr. Abu Dharr, when he became a Muslim, he said, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, wallahi, I go today to the Haram and I will tell them, La ilaha illallah, Muhammad Rasulullah, and I don't care. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, don't do that, they will beat you. He said, I will do it. And Abu Dharr, he went to the Haram and he faced them and he told them by their names, I am Abu Dharr. La ilaha illallah, Muhammad Rasulullah. Who doesn't like it? And they jumped on him and they beat him until they knocked him out. And when he became conscious again, he stood up and he said it again to them, and they beat him and knocked him out. And he continued to do that until the Prophet ﷺ ordered Abu Dharr to leave Mecca, because he knew they would kill him. And Abu Dharr, he left. And the next time that Abu Dharr came back, he came back with his entire tribe. All of them saying, La ilaha illallah, Muhammad Rasulullah. This is Abu Dharr. And we Muslims, some of us, we are Muslims for 20 years. We're born Muslims. And we are 50 years old today, 60 years old. And we have not given one shahada where we live. We did not give one. Because we say, my family is Muslim. My father is Muslim. My grandfather Muslim. My great-grandfather Muslim. MashaAllah. But you don't say to the kafir who you work with, and you don't say to the kafir you go to school with, and you don't say to the kafir who enters, your non-Muslim who enter your store, you do business with, you don't say to your neighbor who is a non-Muslim, you don't say what Abu Dharr said, you don't say La ilaha illallah, Muhammad Rasulullah. You don't share the treasure of Islam. My brothers and sisters in Islam, the Prophet ﷺ said, the three things, whosoever have them, have tasted the sweetness of faith. One, Allah, a person loves Allah and His Messenger more than all else. Secondly, he loves a person only for the sake of Allah. He loves a person for the sake of Allah, not because he is my countryman, not because he is my family, not because I know him very well, not because I hang out in the street with him, not because we watch television together or we do business together. No, you love a person only because for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you hate a person for what? For the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the third characteristic is that you hate going back to kufr as you would hate being driven into a fire. So when a Muslim, he thinks of the act of kufr, because here it doesn't mean to become a kafir, it means to do an act of kufr. So when the act of kufr, when you think of it, you think to yourself that the fire is next to you and someone is pushing you into it, then you know you have iman. But if the idea of fawahish comes to your mind and nothing happens inside of you, you don't have it. If you lie to earn some money, the Prophet ﷺ never lied to earn some money.